Hi, everybody. This is E12 Life, and welcome to my podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about teachers. And yes, shout out to all the teachers out there, man, that are definitely doing their job, teaching and pretty much pushing that knowledge in students, and that's what I definitely do love. When I was in middle school, I had great teachers that pretty much taught me a whole bunch of things, and I pretty much, took that knowledge, and that knowledge pretty much, helps me to this day. My teachers never gave up. She made sure that, everybody got it. She pretty much helped everybody, all of her students, and I love teachers like that make sure that, everybody succeeds, make sure everybody, accomplishes, that goal, that lesson, passing that test, everybody gets an A, and that's what I loved right there because, my teachers, they were definitely, they definitely awarded us for us doing a great job. And that's what I loved right there. I remember the pizza days, on Fridays, if all of us got our work done or, if we didn't, my teachers were more like, if you didn't get it, come to me, and she'll teach you it. And it was that, and that's what I love. Because nowadays, you go to teachers now and you can't even go to them for something because they're so busy, tied up, things don't really, you don't really not learning. There's a lot of teachers out there that really don't really teach students, but I definitely do love the teachers that definitely do, really teach the students and really push the limit of knowledge. And that's what I definitely do love. I love my Spanish teacher, taught me a lot of Spanish, and I love my history teacher, I love my history teacher, taught me about, basically things about life, what this country is all about, and, everything else, even things that, wasn't supposed to be taught in the classroom, we was taught, pretty much just pushing the limit of just knowledge and just making sure that we got it. And that's what I loved in middle school. My teachers, God bless them, and I enjoyed my teachers in middle school, and they pretty much taught me a lot of stuff, and I never forgot it to this day, and I always took it with me, and just that helped me. I went into high school, and my teachers there, I loved them because they taught me a lot of things too. I went from learning math and all of that stuff there, like learning math was really great because, my teachers, shout out to them, for learning math, learning to count and takeaways and, all that stuff there. I loved it because, my teacher was like, hey, you gotta learn math because you're gonna learn money. If you love money, you're gonna love math, So yeah, I loved my teacher because she always, find things to relate to us, what we were doing, she related to it. So, we got it. It was nobody falling asleep in the classrooms, what I'm saying? We was always paying attention and we was there, So that was the thing. And I was always excited to go to class and go to school because I wanted to be there and see what my teacher was teaching and, learn, because I was excited with learning. I want to say shout out to everybody out there, man, that is enjoying, learning and just getting all that extra knowledge, So I definitely do love that. Shout out to people out there, man, that definitely reads books and all that stuff there too, getting that knowledge too. So, but yeah, I definitely learned, math, and, that helped me, with my teacher, that helped me learn to pretty much, take away, add, and also budget, So I definitely did enjoy, that. And when I was in high school, and definitely just doing like job sites, So shout out to my teachers that, took us on job sites to learn how to work and just, the lifestyle, of working and hard working and how to, how life is, and I enjoyed all of that knowledge because, I got my first job, when I got out of high school. And I enjoyed my teacher just teaching us that and just, maintaining, I knew, how to, maintain all of that. Shout out to the teachers, man. Shout out to my teachers, man, because I love all of them. And they taught me a lot of things that, I'll never forget to this day. And, I take it with me, in life, So all of y'all out there, if y'all are with me, I want you to pretty much, remember your teachers, man, that pretty much taught you a lot of things, and, that you kept that knowledge that they taught you, and that kind of stuck with you, when you got out of school, and, you're living your life now, and you're enjoying that knowledge, and you have it with you, and that helps you, tackle life. And that's what I love about teachers, because, that's what helps. My mom used to always say, go to school because you need that knowledge, because it's going to help you, when you get out of school and, you become your own person, and I loved it all of my teachers, for that. So I want to say, to all the teachers out there, keep on teaching. For all the real teachers out there that are teaching, everybody out there, man, to learn that knowledge, man, because we need good teachers to teach, to learn this knowledge and us being a better person, chasing our goals, chasing our careers, because this is what makes it happen right here. Having teachers makes all of this stuff possible, so that's definitely what I love right there, because without my teachers, they help me build that type of structure to this day, So a lot of that knowledge I learned, just, my music teacher, shout out to my music teacher, because without my music teacher, I would have never learned how to, pretty much, to play the drums or, play the piano, those type of things, So I got a chance to learn all of that stuff there. Shout out to the music teachers out there, man, that's really teaching them all about music and, and stuff like that. So I had a chance to learn how to, create, music in a big way. And that's been a part of my life, And to this day, I'm still creating music, because of that, And I took on those teachings and pretty much, taught myself, the teachings that, got me onto that path. And that's what I love about teachers, because they teach you things and get you onto that path. That way you can, teach yourself more onto that road, and that's what I love right there. So I want to say once again, shout out to all the good teachers out there, that's really teaching a lot of these students out here that knowledge, and that's helping them, grow. And shout out to the teachers, man, that are not giving up on their students, making sure that their students pass, making sure that they get that knowledge and make something of themselves in life, and just taking that journey, So yeah, so for all of y'all out there, man, I definitely love y'all teachers, man, and that's, that has taught you something. Always remember that, Always remember your teachers, man, that taught you a lot, and always keep that knowledge. I want to say shout out to all the people out there, man, that are in school, and that's definitely is learning. Definitely keep that knowledge. Go to school and learn.